radical Islam, whether you look at the Sunni or Shia branches of Islam, there's clearly an ideology, you might call it a politicized religion, that targets Western civilization, that is explicitly hostile to values of individual freedom, equality of the sexes, the things that have come to be quite central to our civilization. And that threat manifests itself not just in terrorism, it includes the fact that there are regimes run on the basis of that ideology that may pose a strategic threat to Western countries. The threat from Islamic extremism is most serious from the vantage point of Europe, because there is a potential for ongoing large-scale migration from predominantly Muslim countries into Europe. And that could fundamentally alter European societies. The process is already quite far advanced in some countries and in some cities in particular. The challenge for the rest of the West is, at this point, smaller, but it's imaginable that 10 or 20 years from now, there could be parts of the United States that resemble those parts of Europe that are most obviously affected today. But in the end, none of this really should trouble us too much, because at least on paper, our system is superior. Yeah. It's superior in every conceivable way. It offers far more opportunity for human self-fulfillment. It offers greater opportunities for gifted people to innovate, to be original. Without free speech, how can you really have sustained intellectual advance? I mean, that's a fundamental question that I don't think the Islamists or the Chinese have a good answer to. But if we decide that we're the problem, and that all the world's problems, from the Middle East to the Far East, originate in the wickedness of the West, then there's a risk that we just hoist the white flag. And I see the white flag being hoisted on a fairly regular basis. Surrenders, concessions, capitulations, on a whole range of issues, both cultural and economic. So the problem is really number 3. It's our decision whether Western civilization goes down the tubes or not. It's, I think, historically well equal to withstanding these challenges. We withstood the huge challenges posed by Nazism and by Stalinism. We withstood the challenges of fascism and communism. We ought to be able to deal with an attempt to revive 7th and 8th century Islam, and we ought to be able to deal with a hybrid system which is communist in name but capitalist in much of its practice. But if we decide to throw in the towel, then it's pretty clear what the future looks like.